Welcome on into the Love of the Star podcast. Zach Wolchuk alongside Eric Chiafalo of 105.3 The Fan and the G-Bag Nation. Unfortunately, Brian Broaddus is doing a little Cowboys break right now.
So Broaddus just walked by. He just walked by, and he said, "Did you guys just start?" He was just kind of mouthing to me. I think he's about to hop in, dude.
Is he going to join us?
We're going to get a Broaddus appearance. I think he's going to join us. He's not going to big time us. He's not going to big time us for DallasCowboys.com.
This is awesome news because I know that, I'm not sure people would even listen to this podcast if Brian wasn't on it, which, hey, I get. Brian's the godfather of Dallas Cowboys media. And, I mean, look, we're probably not where we are without Brian. So I'm glad. I'm glad he's going to be here. Although, I mean, look, we were sourcing our balls off last night, you and I, out there at Malibu in Nobu there. It was incredible. We had the media party. And I think that we've been doing a good job. There might be we might know a thing or two. It's possible that we've got some nuggets that we can just sprinkle dinkle just around the Love of the Star podcast.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You look great after what was a long night of partying and sourcing and just talking ball. You look good. You look refreshed, man. You look refreshed. There's something about the California air that you wake up and it's like you're not even allowed to be hungover because it's just too beautiful. And it's football season and we're back and we got a lot of crap going on, dude. I mean, before we even get to the practice stuff, because we have a lot of good camp and practice observations, but I mean, it's Friday morning and the story of the day is Micah and Diggs and the frustration going on.
What's going on there?
Well, we have, of course, a contract that has not been completed, and we have Diana Rossini of The Athletic. I mean, it starts with Diggs and Parsons taking to Twitter to kind of do like a one last ride kind of thing together, and that was like a little bit cryptic. And then Friday morning, today, we get the Rossini report that features Micah Parsons and the Cowboys' relationship has now deteriorated to the point where the star pass rusher is considering drastic measures, which could include a trade request or even a declaration that he is severing his relationship with the team, which I don't even understand what that would mean. The two sides remain far apart heading into the second week of training camp and are not currently negotiating. And among the key issues, Micah, we know, spoke directly with Jerry over multiple days in the springtime. The team believed those conversations were negotiations and that it had a deal, but Parsons believed the talks were just conversations and wanted his agent to handle the negotiations. When his agent attempted to start negotiations, the Cowboys declined to engage with him and told the pass rusher that they believed they already had a deal. Now, the team is refusing to engage with Parsons' agent at all, creating a tense standoff amid increasing friction. So that is the report from Diana Rossini. There was plenty of Micah contract conversations being had around the sushi table and the lovely bar at Nobu last night, Wolchuk. So this is not a huge surprise based on some of the conversations that we've had, but severing the relationship with the team, that feels pretty drastic. What does that even mean? I guess maybe requesting a trade, but he hasn't done it yet. I mean, all the guys on the beat are going around going like, has he requested a trade? Are you requesting a trade? Not yet. Hasn't happened yet, but this is where we are in the contract battle.
Yeah, and you've got other teammates. I mean, DeMarvion Overshown, Wanye Thomas that are now changing their profile pictures and making him Micah Parsons. Look, the players want him here. The coaches want him here. But now I think that this is something where, it's a problem. I don't think Mike has got really a ton here that he can go ahead and play. There's not a lot of leverage. The Cowboys have him under contract. And then guess what? They could franchise tag him. And then they could franchise tag him again. And now, do any of us, had we thought that it would get to that point? No. I still think eventually a deal could get done, but it does seem, as Diana's reported, as some others have said, yeah, I think that the Cowboys felt like they had something here. And then when Micah came back, and I guess once he talked with his people, which he's entitled to do, there were some other things that I guess he was advised, well, maybe we should go back to the negotiating table. And I can understand both sides here. Not that I think either side is necessarily right, but I can understand the feeling of, well, you're going back on your word now from a Cowboys perspective. We thought we had an agreement. Now we don't have an agreement. So what's going on here? And really, the Cowboys hold all the cards because they've got 3 years of potential control on Micah Parsons. So now what are you going to do? Are you actually going to sit out? Are you going to miss game checks? That's the big question. I don't believe that's going to happen. But if it does, then maybe we can have a real conversation. Because as of right now, I don't believe the Cowboys would negotiate or hear any trade possibilities. And I still think this thing gets done as we welcome in the Super Bowl winning scout, Bryan Broadus. Bryan, your thoughts on this entire Micah situation?
Yeah, it's honestly, it's very tiresome to be just to be to be. I mean, I'm so excited, in fact, to have competitive practices and to be able to talk about Awesome Richards and Nate Thomas and what Donovan Ezrako's doing. And man, look at this! Look at this corner make a play. What a play by Dak Prescott! What a throw! What a catch! And those are the things you really love about training camp. But this whole thing with Micah Parsons is, and it's playing out before our eyes because this is really unusual that you have a hold-in situation, and now the media has access to Micah Parsons. We can see reactions. We can see him on the field. We get to talk to Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones. It's really it's really been really unfortunate that this thing has played out the way it has. And I totally agree with you, Zach. There's sides here that have felt like that. Well, maybe this side, maybe we had a deal. Well, wait a minute, we don't have a deal, and all kinds of things. It's just, I think it's been kind of crazy. It's been kind of crazy in that regard that that we've had to kind of go through all this, and eventually one side's going to have to say, okay, enough's enough. If I'm the Dallas Cowboys, and this is just my thought, I kind of feel like the Cowboys are looking at this as Micah Parsons is. I don't believe he's going to miss game checks. I just don't. I think that's $1.8 million a week that you're talking about, and boy, you'd have to be really, really, really committed. In Dallas, the front office, they hold all the cards here. I mean, Micah would be best suited to try and get David and him to get a deal now. I mean, it seems like to me the Cowboys are kind of dug in. It seems like Mike is kind of dug in. Can they find that common ground but I think just both sides are kind of mad at the other right now. And, both sides need to kind of step back and say, listen, we're not mad at you anymore. We're going to try and get this thing done. But boy, I tell you what, it has been it's been a tough journey so far.
That's the frustrating part of the whole thing. And I think that, in speaking as a Cowboy fan, which we are, and we've got the honor and the privilege to cover the team that we grew up loving, but putting the fan hat on, it's like, why the hell are we doing this every offseason? Why are we at training camp right now? And it's
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying. We're not talking about how's Nate Thomas looking at left tackle? What's going to happen now if Guyton's got to miss a game? How's Kyler Elam looking? What's going on with
Yeah,
Savone Ravel and that
that's what
setback?
I'm
The
interested
headline,
in.
right? The headline of the podcast is, okay, what's going on with Micah? And it's
Yeah.
every single offseason. And that's why when we had Stephen Jones on our show on the G-Bag Nation, which I encourage you to go back and listen to, the one thing that I was a little bit, they do get deals done early when it's Osa Digizua, when it's Jake Ferguson, which they just got done, and that's awesome. But when it's the higher end players, that's where things will start to kind of drag. And we lived this last year with Dak. And things went differently with Dak, obviously. I mean, evidently the way that he handled things with the front office, and maybe he just went, hey, my agent, take care of that for me. Excuse me. But it's CeeDee Lamb, it's Ezekiel Elliott, and things get said in the media, right? I mean, we remember Zeke
Yeah.
who, when Jerry said that. We remember Jerry saying with CD last year, there wasn't a ton of urgency to get a deal done. I don't have any urgency. Like they're okay without CeeDee Lamb. So this is part of the ugly business. It's just unfortunate that it bleeds into this should be about football and getting the 2025 Dallas Cowboys ready to go out and play and try and win a championship instead of the money.
Eric, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you feel like that what they have right now in camp, what we've seen for 2 weeks in Donovan Ezraku, Sam Williams, Fowler, Marshawn Nealon, do you think the Cowboys are better equipped to play without Micah Parsons if they had to, if he were in fact to sit out?
Certainly better than last year. Like those games that Micah missed when he was hurt, the defense suffered in a huge way, in the pass rush in particular.
Yeah.
Now, especially with Ezraku and Fowler, I'm still waiting, and I'm not ruling out Sam Williams having a respectful season,
Sure.
but he's still trying to get his legs under him, understandably, after the ACL. So I don't think you show up in Philadelphia and feel like Sam Williams week 1 is going to be a huge help when it comes to the pass rush. But Ezraku and Fowler, absolutely. And even Nealon, I'm glad you brought him up because he's flashed a lot more in the pass rush stuff out here at camp than maybe we imagined he would. So yeah, you have some of that. And then when you have like a, Maris Leafau who can blitz, obviously you'd feel better about it if Overshown was healthy and
Sure.
how he's able to get after the quarterback. So I think you could sort of get by, but Micah takes this pass rush and makes it maybe the best in the league. You go from being like, okay, you can get by as a pass rush without him, but man, with him, it becomes a whole different conversation. And I think the defense, especially given the nature of where the secondary is right now, man, I don't think you want to show up without Micah, especially week 1 in Philadelphia. That could be a long night.
Zach,
Yeah,
do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I think that they're better suited than last year, but I do not believe being out here and watching Sam Williams practice, he's not where he was.
I agree. I agree
He
with
just
that.
he doesn't look like the same player right now.
Right.
I mean, we saw, Nate Thomas, I think I think every single offensive tackle's won reps against Sam Williams when they've had those opportunities. Now that could just be, hey, he improves as the season goes on. You get more trust in that knee. But I'm not really looking. Honestly, Fowler, since we've been out here in the 2 padded practices we watched, I didn't notice a ton of Dante Fowler. Now,
Sure.
he's a proven commodity. He's a guy that had 10 sacks last year. I do feel good overall when you're going into the NFL season that he's going to be productive for you, but I haven't really seen him flash. Donovan Ezraku is that dude. I mean, I think he's the future face of this defense, regardless of what happens to Micah Parsons. I think this is going to be Donovan Ezraku's defense when 5 years down the line. He's going to be that guy. But yeah, I can't. Micah Parsons is a game-changing player. You need him, and I'm calling the bluff. Regardless of if a contract is done or not, I believe that one will get done. But I think when they suit up against Philly, he's going to be out there because I don't see him missing checks.
Yeah. No, I don't see him doing that either. But that's his best leverage. I mean, we talk about
it's the only leverage he's got.
Yeah,
it's
really
an expensive leverage to use. It is an expensive one to use. Yeah,
no question.
I mean, because that's what it is. What are you going to do? Are you just not going to play football? Are you not going to make? Because you're in the prime of your career right now. So the Cowboys have your rights for 3 years, and they're not going to trade you. I mean, we can have. It's fun to have conversations about it, right? What could you get? Multiple first-round picks, the team building aspect. We love that. We love the draft. Maybe if he did sit out, maybe then they reevaluate that. But as we stand today, the Cowboys haven't traded a star player, and somebody came back and said Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper isn't in this category that we're talking about right now. Amari Cooper was not even top 10 at his position when the Cowboys traded him. Now, we can go back and evaluate that. That's another conversation. But outside of Herschel Walker and the great train robbery, the Cowboys have not paid and have not traded a star player. This is going to get done. It's a matter of when, not if. And Micah, unfortunately, this is probably the only leverage play he has. Let me put more pressure on the front office. Let me try and rally up fan support to back me and point the finger back at the Jones family and threaten that I'm going to hold out. But the bottom line is, I think Micah likes his money too much.
I do
And
too.
he loves competing and loves football too much.
I do too.
So you're either not going to play football and you're going to forfeit millions of dollars. And that doesn't make any type of business sense.
No, I guess it's the Emmitt Smith route, right? Where you're hoping that basically in a weird way you don't show up, and then you hope that the Eagles put up a 50 burger on you in week 1 as you sit at home and have no pass rush and watch Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley just torch you. Like that's and all of a sudden now the Cowboys are going, well, crap. What are we gonna do? That's the one thing that you could pull. And the Emmitt stuff is kind of the only thing that we can look to that sort of was the same sort of thing. But yeah, that is a huge risk to take. I wonder if he regrets even doing the Holden thing and like actually being out here. I wonder if he feels but that
just showed you, man. To me, that's a tell. That's a tell because all the other contracts that we've seen before, these guys weren't here. They were willing, but this 50,000, maybe the guys before didn't have to deal with all that. The fines were a lot smaller. This $50,000 a day, that could get pretty expensive, and it's changed over the years. It's changed. This is collectively bargained, and this is what the players agreed on, and the owners got it, and it's their hammer that they can use and Mike is smart. He's like, listen, I'm not going to give up $50,000 a day just on principle right now. I mean, and I think that's what the Dallas Cowboys are kind of banking on right now, that he won't miss those game checks.
You are listening to the Love of the Star podcast. Love of the Star is an Audacy podcast. You can find on the Audacy app or wherever you get your podcasts. Okay, Wolchuk, Chiafalo, we got the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus rolling on here. We're actually live in Oxnard Cowboys Training Camp 2025. I do want to get into practice thoughts from our padded practice yesterday, but the Trayvon Diggs story and the Savone Rebel story. We actually got to catch up with Savone Rebel's dad during practice yesterday, and he kind of broke the news to us that he's predicting 6 to 8 weeks for Ravel. There was a setback there, and he's not going to play until he's 150% right. Bryan, your takeaways there. And then did you hear more on, did Diggs have an awkward landing yesterday in practice? Did something happen there?
Yeah, can I circle back on the Ravel thing?
Yeah.
No offense to his father, but I was told this morning because they got wind of the interview that we had. I had somebody, when I asked the word, I said, has there been a setback with Ravel? I took a straight right cross to the face is what happened here. And there's been no setback, and he's not 100%. All along, we were going to get him out there and ready when he was 100%. Honestly, they're responsible for his rehab. His rehab was conducted in a way by another group. He's now working with Britt and the trainers here. There's things that they're trying to get, trying to make sure that they're right on. But when I asked the setback question, I got hit right in the face with absolutely not. And he never was guaranteed to play opening day. The timelines are like, if anybody's talking about timelines, they're wrong. That's what I was told. So no offense to father. Thank you so much for talking with us. But I kind of feel like, to me, just talking to people in the front office, it's like, listen, we don't have a timeline for this right now. And no, there wasn't a setback. And yes, when he is absolutely 100% ready to go. Now, could he end up on PUP and be out the first 4 weeks of the season? Absolutely. Absolutely. But like I said, I was told there's no timeline right now for this particular player.
And I saw Todd Archer. He kind of had a different description of the Diggs situation from yesterday, where people thought that he fell down and maybe hurt his shoulder or something like that. Apparently, it was Diggs after whatever rehab kind of drill he was doing. decided to do like a somersault thing. And then he landed on the ground, and then he just stayed on the ground for a period of time as to catch his breath, not because that he was in pain or hurt himself or something like that. So that was what I saw from Todd Archer earlier this morning.
Yeah, I mean, I got to see him at the end of practice yesterday, and he looked fine. So hopefully nothing there in terms of the shoulder. Interesting information there on Ravel. I think the pup makes a lot of sense if that's the case, to try and ease him into things.
That's like I say, they don't have a timeline for the kid. And I know Tommy Yarish's clip, if you saw that, it didn't look good. I mean, it did not look good, but there was, I know the word setback was thrown out there, and I was told absolutely not on that.
All right, let's talk practice, okay? Let's talk some actual football. Let's do this, boys. And then we'll get into the Dean Julia mailbag. Eric can run that for us. But takeaways from yesterday's practice, in which was, my gosh, it was super eventful. I loved it. I love all the misdirection that Shotty's using. I think when you look at a lot of the stuff that we had heard coming in, the motions, some of the condensed formations, we've chatted about that. You're seeing all of it. Jaden Blue got a lot of run yesterday with the ones. Miles Sanders was out with a knee injury. You had Nate Thomas working at left tackle. Hakeem Adeniji, Bryan, you told us he's dealing with a concussion right now.
Yeah, by the way, it's Sanders has a bone bruise. They're going to probably miss a couple of days here. You know, they've got the Rams coming up on Tuesday. Maybe get back involved with that, but it's a bone bruise right now for Sanders.
Okay. So it was Blue. They mixed in a nice screen with Javonte Williams. I thought Phil Maffa had a really good day, in my opinion, whenever he had opportunities to catch the football. Had a touchdown towards the end of practice, ran it hard. I thought Blue, like, my only concern is I think he's the most talented of all the backs that they've got. It's just getting the exchange clean, and it's more so when he's in there with Joe Milton than it is with Dak. But there does seem to be just a little bit of hesitancy, like he's not necessarily getting the football clean. And I think that is hurting him being able now to get to the line of scrimmage, make a play. And if there's anybody in the backfield, he's now not able to make a guy miss because he's now worried about ball security. So that's something to watch. We get into preseason games, and he's working with Joe Milton. How does that look? Nate Thomas, I thought, struggled against Marshawn Nealand at left tackle, but overall had himself a solid day. And I thought Awesome Richards was really, really good working with the twos yesterday. I mean, he had a rep where he had to reset, regain his balance, and then was able to essentially use his power and drift. I think it was Tyus Wheat or one of the ends, just completely loop around the quarterback. So he was good. Dak had the deep ball working. Big touchdown to Pickens, had a big touchdown to Turpin. Eric, I know you'll probably talk about Turpin some more. I mean, he's been, whether it's out of the backfield, quick, short passing game, the deep ball, the motion. I mean, they're finding all kinds of creative ways to get Turp the football. And then the boots and the waggles, man. That's clearly going to be a focus, at least what we've seen from this offense, getting it out to your tight ends, whether it's Jake Ferguson or even some of these fullbacks, man. Like Lipke's getting involved. And the backup fullback Neville has been pretty damn impressive as well. So I loved what we saw on the offensive side of the football there, Eric.
Yeah, same here, man. There's plenty to like about what they got going on here. They're varying the personnel groupings and the way that they're deploying them. They're going condensed, they're going under center, they're going shotgun, they're going pistol. They got motions all over the place, and like you said, what they're doing with Turpin right now is just wonderful. I mean, he's probably been the star of camp. I mean, Pickens has had some really awesome moments. CeeDee Lamb has had some really awesome moments as well. But the way that they are creating mismatches for Turpin, and they're being creative with where they're moving them around, and a lot of it is some short stuff. But then you saw the deep ball yesterday when you go trips right, and you got Pickens as the boundary, you got Lamb there in the middle, and then you got Turpin as the inside player there. And it's like, man, what a total nightmare for a defense to have those three guys right there. And it's a pick your poison situation. And that one was a Turpin deep ball that was beautiful. But I mean, all the deception too, where it's like flows going one way, balls going the other. and you can see the defense just being kind of on their heels a little bit. So I love what they're doing offensively right now. I feel like Dak, especially in the red zone stuff, has been pretty sharp, and that was one of the big things that we talked about bringing George Pickens to town. His red zone numbers weren't overly impressive in Pittsburgh. Let's just be real about that. But we all knew, hey, why is that? Is that a George Pickens thing? Does he just all of a sudden forget how to catch the ball when he's down in the red zone? No, they had a terrible quarterback the entire time he was there. And then they had no other threats on their offense. So defenses are just like, hey, we'll take George Pickens out of the play here in the red zone and we'll dare Pat Fryermuth to beat us or whatever. Okay, fine. Now you don't have that choice. And you have a much better quarterback throwing him the football, and him and Dak in the red zone absolutely lighting it up. So the offense has been really, really nice in my mind. I've enjoyed what we've seen.
Cooper Beebe had a great day too. Bryan, did you? Yeah.
I'm going to throw in, by the way, I'm sorry. I'm kind of looking up and down here. I'm watching Lyle Collins work out as we speak.
Ooh, nice.
They're at the other end of the field. They've got another offensive lineman that's here with him, but I can always recognize the movement of Lyle Collins. And I'll tell you what, man, he's not laboring at all. He's coming off the ball. I mean, he's got some quickness. His feet, they had him do like this chop drill, keeping his feet and, making sure kind of like endurance. And sometimes with these offensive linemen, if they're not used to it, there's a lot of bending over at the waist, a lot of like, taking breaks because they can't finish the drill. So he looks like he's in a pretty good shape right now, to be honest with you. But I want to say a couple of receivers, they kind of caught my eye. I know I've been kind of critical of Jalen Tolbert. I thought Jalen Tolbert had a better day practicing football. But I also want to throw rookie out there, Tayshawn Holden, a little bit. That is the kind of day that he had. He continues to find ways to get open. He can finish. He catches the ball well. He looks it in. He can't separate great. But if you put him in a situation where you throw the ball his direction, he is going to find a way to come down with it. And I've been like, I've been thinking, everybody's focusing on Pickens and CD Lamb and guys like that, and with Turpin. But if they're going to keep six receivers, it's going to come down to guys like Holden, and then also too, maybe even Jalen Brooks. Jalen Brooks has shown up a little bit, but I want to give the tip of the cap for Tolbert, the way he was able to kind of bounce back from a rough couple of days, but also Tayshawn Holden for how he's practiced the last couple of days.
Hey, I agree, man. I think both those guys have been awesome, and especially Holden. And I'm thinking about Mingo as well. I feel like Mingo's had a really nice camp from what we've seen, winning in the one-on-ones. He had a nice down the field, down the sideline touchdown from Dak. That was really good. I think he beat Trey. I think it was Pride that he beat in coverage. But then
Troy
he had a
Pride,
nice slant. Yeah, Troy Pride, and then he had the slant where he beat Elam. It was actually pretty dang good coverage, but just a better ball, better catch there. Mingo's big body, so that was huge. And then Holden's been really impressive. Like, to me, it's a no-brainer right now. From what I've seen, I feel like he's been better than any of those other fringe kind of the Brookses or the Croppers or whatever. Like, I think Holden is a guy that you're looking at going, okay, they need to find a way to get him on the team right now. I mean, we'll see how he shows up in the preseason games, but out here at practice, man, whether it's the one-on-ones or the team stuff, pretty impressive.
Yeah, and he might be one of those guys that they just think like, okay, we can sneak him onto the practice squad. But I'm with you, man. I mean, I think Josh Kelly in the one-on-ones yesterday, the Texas Tech kid, made a nice catch. But Holden's been the wow player. I mean, he had a play in the one-on-ones against Izzy Mukuamu where Mukuamu had textbook coverage. There's no room to really put the football, and Holden just goes and plucks it right over Izzy Mukwamu's helmet and made an outstanding catch. So, like, we were talking about this with Nick Harris yesterday. Who you keeping? And you're right about Tolbert, Bryan. I mean, he had the touchdown. He had a good block on the outside as well. But, like, if you do the numbers game, like, Pickens is guaranteed. CeeDee Lamb is guaranteed. Jonathan Mingo, Kavontae Turpin. And then he put Tolbert to me, I think Brooks has been better from what I've seen out throughout the practices. I think Flanoy's been better, and I think Holden's been better. Like, if you're looking at a surprise cut, I would have Jalen Tolbert on that bubble. I don't think they do. I think Jalen Tolbert's probably safe, but I absolutely would. I think he is starting to get pushed a little bit by some of these receivers behind him, but they do have to show up in some preseason games, and we'll see there. On the defensive side of the ball, was there any takeaways that you wanted? I mean, Kyer Elam, I'm buying it. I've seen enough. I'm buying it. I know it's practice, but I really think the change of scenery, like, he's been the best cornerback out here, and that includes Deron Bland.
Yeah, Marshawn Nealon looks like he's rushing the passer pretty well. You know, I mean, he looks like a guy that, you know, when you start, I mean, I haven't really completely noticed Fowler a bunch here recently. Sam Williams, I think, has been a little bit of a struggle, you know, with his time that he's missed. But man, give Marshawn Nealon a little credit the way that he's been able to rush the passer. I think he's been pretty good. I want to mention a guy that we haven't talked about at all, and that's Christian Matthew, the the guy that basically came off the street. You know, the last couple of days, made a play, a forced play in the running game, knocked the ball down yesterday. Here's a guy that just hadn't had many practices at all, no off season to speak of, and all of a sudden he comes out here, and the next thing you know, he's making plays. So, you know, good for him. I know that's kind of a down the line guy. Zion Childers was another guy that, all of a sudden, you know, it's like, well, who's this number 48? And then he's making some plays. Good job by him. And, you know, with that, and I want to say something about the defensive tackles. I've kind of noticed, I've just noticed more of Solomon Thomas, more of Perion Winfrey, and more than say Osa Odigizua. Not that Osa Odigizua has had bad practices or anything like that, but I've just noticed those other two tackles a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Perry Winfrey's really been a flash player to me. I think he's having a good camp. I think Osa had a good day yesterday. I also noticed Darnell Dixon, the second-year defensive tackle. He's a bigger body, but he was a guy that had a would-be sack during drills. Jay Toia did as well. So, you know, to me, again, the one guy that consistently is absent, unfortunately, is Mozzie. I mean, I'm just not seeing much of anything from Mozzie Smith out here, and maybe
it's been tough.
We can hope for but it has been. It certainly has been tough. All right, you are listening to the Love of the Star podcast. The Love of the Star is an Audacy podcast. You can find it wherever you get your podcast. Let's do it. Let's do the Dean Julia mailbag. Is it Zach Wolchuk, Eric Chiafalo, and Brian Broad? I think we actually have George Pickens on the mic behind us. He's probably listening to everything we're saying. They're like, God, those guys are idiots. Tell those guys to shut up.
Hey, Chief.
Yeah.
Chief, did you see? Did you like the pop there from Lyle Collins on that sled?
Yeah, that pop was incredible. But boys, I have to address what I'm seeing on Twitter right now in real time. As of 2 minutes ago, we just got the official Micah Parsons "Thank you, Dallas," and the Notes app screenshots on Twitter of him requesting a trade.
Okay. All right. Well, the trade request
I'm
is official.
I'm going to say 99% sure that Dallas won't trade him.
Yeah,
How about
you know,
that?
and I'll even go 99.5% sure that the Cowboys are going to say, okay, we hear your request, but you're not going anywhere.
No.
Wow. Okay. Yes, he says, yes, I engaged in a back and forth in regards to what I wanted from my contract, but at no point did I believe this was supposed to be a formal negotiation. And I informed Mr. Jones afterward my agent would reach out thinking this would get things done. But when my agent reached out and spoke to Adam Pacifica, the cab guy, he was told the deal was pretty much already done. My agent, of course, told him that wasn't the case. And I also reached out to Stephen Jones. Again, the team decided to go silent at that point. we decided we would allow the team to reach out to us whenever they decided they wanted to talk, yet still no call or email or text to my agent about starting a negotiation. Up to today, the team has not had a single conversation with my agent about a contract. Not one demand has been made by my agent about money, years, or anything else. Still, I stayed quiet, but again, after repeated shots at myself and all the narratives, I have made a tough decision. I no longer want to play for the Dallas Cowboys. My trade request has been submitted to Stephen Jones personally.
Look, I'm just going to speak from my standpoint, put my front office hat on. I would trade Micah Parsons. I would take calls. I would absolutely trade him. I don't think that he fits really the culture that what Brian Schottenheimer is trying to build here. I think Micah is one of those guys that I do worry about once he gets paid, how that's going to translate, much like we just saw with his buddy Trayvon Diggs and 7-Eleven, the running mate there that we saw. But the Cowboys, I don't believe, are going to do that. I think Micah Parsons is going to wear the star on his helmet this year. I think week 1 against the Eagles, Mike is going to be in uniform. And I think that he's going to go out, be an awesome player, fight for Defensive Player of the Year. And he's an absolute badass on the field. I don't think Cowboys are going to engage in any trade talks, but I absolutely would consider that. I'd grant his wish here. I would look and call teams in the AFC. Hell, I mean, whoever wants to give me the best offer, I would absolutely listen. But I think that this is a great play by Micah. Good for him. I respect the hell what he's doing, but I just don't think ultimately he's got any leverage here, which sucks for the players. I mean, that's the way that the collective bargaining agreement is when you have the franchise tag. The NFL teams have you. They've got you by the balls. And Micah's under contract, and they can slap the tag on him for the next 2 years. So it stinks from Micah's standpoint. And this is really kind of the only card he can play. And then, Eric, to your point, it would be actually physically sitting out games. And if that happens, then we can have a very different and very real conversation, because I don't believe the Cowboys think that's happening.
This is wild. I'm with you. I'm with you on trading him. If you don't want to, if you're not interested in paying him and you're going to string this out and you're going to do the franchise tag thing for the next couple of years, these types of conversations and these storylines and these headlines are going to be a part of the next 3 years. Like, is that something you really want to have happen? I would say no. And I do think that Micah is a guy that you can get quite a haul for. So it is frustrating to do it right now at this point in the off season, because you're basically getting draft picks and now you're just losing Micah Parsons. And for this team this year, your hopes of really being able to do something special probably just go flying out the window. But big picture, I'm with you. I'm with you. But now this is part of the lack of being proactive on things. This is where it could bite you, because now you're gonna have to ride a season with, hey, we look forward to the draft picks that we get in April, but they're not doing anything for us right now, and the defense is going to be pretty problematic if that's going to be the case. And if you're Dak Prescott and you're CeeDee Lamb and you're these guys that are really hoping to win a Super Bowl, not that we think that the Cowboys are winning a Super Bowl with or without Micah Parsons this year, but man, you don't have much of a chance to even make the playoffs, I would say.
Yeah.
I think defensively you're going to be in a world of trouble. Now, listen, the Dean Julia mailbag is pretty much all about the Micah stuff. It's pretty much every question is about the Micah stuff. I did like one of the questions that we got, though, just from a football standpoint. John Hyla Jr., how much of an asset do you think Joe Milton will be in practice this year to prepare for other teams with the running quarterbacks? I think that's a fun little football question there, Broadus. And I would say probably that helps quite a bit. Sometimes you see them having to pick a random player from a different position to go act like a scout team quarterback for the week. But having Joe Milton, I think that's a plus.
Yeah. Think about the teams on the schedule that play kind of that college offense. And, that's where Joe Milton can absolutely help you with the weekly look, even help you with Philadelphia, with Jalen Hurts, right off the rip, with that ability to pull the football. And the fact that they've seen their offense run some read option stuff here, I think only helps them even more.
Yeah, there was a read option play with Milton yesterday that actually was a huge standout in terms of Sam Williams. It was a read option Milton pulls it to Sam Williams' side, and I think the pre-injury Sam Williams stops that play basically right at the line of scrimmage. But the post ACL, still in recovery mode, Sam Williams was chasing him and just didn't look like the same dude, and it ends up being like a 10-yard gain for Milton. So that's just something to think about. Milton, I think in general, he's pretty erratic, and he just doesn't process things at a high level, at a high speed right now in the pocket. And so that's a huge detriment, but he's better than Trey Lance. And I know we saw Trey Lance in the Hall of Fame game, but from what we saw, Trey Lance in a Cowboys uniform, I like more what we're seeing from Milton. But there's no question Dak has been the best quarterback in camp by a wide margin. And then I'll just throw this out there, guys. I think my
just
favorite
real quick,
people,
quick, Eric. The Lyle Collins workout has ended, so now Will McClay, the coaches, front office, those guys are on the field right now discussing. There was a second workout. There was a second lineman that worked out with Lyle
Collins.
I don't know who it was. Maybe Archer, something like that. Maybe I could figure that out here coming up. But it looks like they're on the field right now talking about if they want to do something. Lyle Collins, actually, I'm telling you, he looked good moving around. He wasn't laboring. He, working with Duke, obviously he was staying in shape. This could be this could be a reunion of Lyle Collins with the Dallas Cowboys. They're down several players at that position. And so with working out a couple of guys, maybe they sign both, or maybe it's just Lyle Collins, but I'll give Lyle Collins for coming in here and I give him some credit for coming in here and looking like he's in shape. He was not laboring at all.
I did see on social media, he told Dak's daughter, "Hey, I'm coming to protect your dad." So, I mean, I think it'd be pretty cool to have LC back. I mean, we'll see if he ends up getting playing time and starting, but the Tyler Smith stuff, I hope that's nothing serious. It seemed like when you're talking tendonitis, it's not, but you never know. You never know if that can linger a little bit. And when you have now Guyton out, Deneji's not practicing, you need another body. So that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, Dak Prescott during his press conference the other day, he said that Lyle is in the best shape of his life. So I don't know if
best shape of your life season.
Yeah, it is the season for that, no question. And then I'll just throw out there, I think my two favorite players on the team this year, and hopefully moving forward, at least for one of them for sure, Donovan Ezeraku, George Pickens. What they've done on the field speaks for itself. And then sitting down with them, getting to interview them, interact with them, two extremely likable guys. I know the narrative around George Pickens was him being kind of screw loose and just one of the more volatile personalities in football. Haven't seen that at this point. I mean, he's having a great time on the field. He's performing at a high level. He was incredible to sit down with and interact with. That dude knows ball at a high level. He's happy to be here, and hopefully he's about to have a huge year. And then Ezeraku, that's a rookie that sounds like a vet, dude. What a guy, top to bottom, on the field, off the field. Love that dude. Those are my two favorite players on the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, and I'm hoping we get my guy today, Cooper Beebe, Cowboys center, who was an absolute star yesterday in practice. But Donovan Ezeraku, how could you not have fallen in love with that guy yesterday when we got to talk with him? All right, fellas, that's going to do it for us on Love of the Star. We'll be back. We've got preseason action next week to talk about. I can't wait for it. Any final thoughts, Bryan, before we boogie out of here?
No, man, it's been a good couple of weeks for me. I appreciate everybody hanging in there with us. Hopefully, man, the situation with Diggs and Parsons, it's just not pretty right now. But make sure you focus in on what's going good at camp and what the observations are. Love of the Star, things like that. We're on it every single day. So, but thanks everybody hanging with us on that.
All right. Thank you so much for everybody making us a part of your day, whether, hey, you're eating breakfast, you're working out, whatever it might be. We love what we do, and we love you for tuning into Love of the Star, because I know you got a lot of options. Until next time, hugs and hand pounds, everybody.